Welcome to Mobile Math, math lessons on the go. Today's learning goal will continue with the addition strand we started in the last two videos, and we will be looking at, by the end of this lesson, I should be able to add positive numbers together that have one or two decimal places without the use of a calculator or technology. So let's just have a quick refresher on what decimals look like. So the decimal point is sort of the point where things change, no pun intended. You have a hundreds column, tens column, ones column. We've been working with that for the last few videos. When you move to the right of the decimal place, you move to tenths or hundredths. Notice the th on the end. Everything to the left of the decimal place gets larger, so they're multiples of a whole unit. As you move to the right of the decimal place, things get smaller, so you have parts of a whole unit. So if we were to look at a number like this would be said 5 and 84 hundredths. So if we break that up, we have 5 ones, 8 tenths, or we could say that 80 hundredths plus 4 hundredths. And I'm not trying to overemphasize the th there, but I want to make sure we distinguish or are clear between hundred and hundredth. So I will put a little extra oomph on the th. So let's have a look at our first example here. We're going to add 3.5 plus 2.4. So I'm going to stick with the number model and the column model. You'll notice for the number model, I'm going to break down those numbers just as I've done in the past. I'm going to have the whole number ones and the tenths, which will be the 0.5 here. That's just 5 tenths. So the 2.4 becomes 2 whole 1 units and 4 tenths, or 0.4. I'm going to collect the ones together and the tenths close to each other, and then I'm going to add up those pieces or parts. So 3 plus 2 is 5. And now 5 tenths plus 9 or 4 tenths is 9 tenths total. That's less than 1. And when I bring those two together, I get 5.9, or 5 and 9 tenths. If I come over to the column model, all of the strategies we've learned for larger numbers still apply for smaller numbers. I'm going to have single digits in each one of these columns. I can still have carryover. So when I add up the 5 plus the 4 in the tenths column, I end up with a 9. And when I add up the 3 plus the 2 in the ones column, I end up with a 5. So there was no carryover in this example. So it's a fairly quick solution to find with the column model. So let's try something that maybe is a little more complicated. So 5.45 plus 1.73, so this would be 5 and 45 100ths plus 1 and 73 100ths. So I have broken down the 5.45 into groups of 5, 40 100ths, and 5 100ths, or you could think of this as 4 tenths in the middle. I've done the same thing with the 1.73, and conveniently, if you look at this, you'll notice that I wrote it one on top of the other. I could have written it across the page, but by writing it one on top of each other, you almost start to see the column model being formed. So if I was to start on the right edge of this particular question, so I'm going to look at the 100ths here. So 5 100ths plus 3 100ths, it's 8 100ths. I have 4 tenths plus 7 tenths. So now I have a sum that is greater than 1, or 1.1, 1 and 1 tenth. And then if I sum my whole numbers, or my ones, I end up with a 6. So right here, we can see that we've created a number that's greater than 1, so I may have to break that up again. So I'm going to separate the 1 from that tenth, and then I'm going to combine from there. So 6 plus 1 gives me 7. I have 10 100ths, or 1 tenth, plus the 0.08, which is 8 100ths. However we want to say that or combine that, that ends up being 18 100ths. And so I get my final answer of 7 and 18 100ths, or 7.18, as some people say it. If I look at the column model, I'm going to add up the hundredths column, and I end up with an 8 in that column, so there's no carryover from that column. When I add up the tenths column, I have a 4 plus a 7, so I have 11 tenths. So I have exceeded the single digit requirement, so I'm going to put a 1 there and carry over one group of tenths. So I have a full 1 unit there, and then when I add these up, I have 5 plus 1 for a total of 7. And I get the exact same number. So this carryover that happens right here is this piece here from the number model. So I'll give you a chance to try it. If you could hit pause on the video and try the following two questions. So we're going to find the sum of the following. So please hit pause now, and then we'll come back with the solutions. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to reveal the two answers here. So from the number model, you can see I've continued to break down into whole number ones and tenths. When we combine the whole numbers, 6 and 2 is 8. And then the tenths, the 0.7 and the 0.5 are 7 tenths and 5 tenths. These two add together and they make 1.2 or 1 and 2 tenths. So they've exceeded the single digit idea we're going to look at in the column form. So when we add these together, we get a 9.2. So here's the column form without the colors. 7 and a 5 together is a 2. I'm going to keep the decimal place right where it is. I carry the 1 over that new group of, or completed group of ones. So 6 and 2 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. So I get 9.2 both ways. 3.14 or 3 and 14 100ths plus 2 and 89 100ths. I'm going to continue to break this down. You may find different levels of comfort on how you need to break these down. In the end, by the time we collect them all, we should end up with 6 and 3 100ths. If I do this with the column model, 9 and 4 together is 13, so I've exceeded the single digits, so I have to do a carryover. 8, 1 and 1 is 10, so again, I've exceeded the single digits, so I have to do a carryover. And now 3 and 2 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. I end up with the same value as 6 and 3 100ths. So hopefully you've been able to see that the number model and the column model still works for decimals. It is a little bit more complicated in how we break some numbers down, but as you practice and try more, I'm sure you'll find your own strategies on how you can solve those questions comfortably for yourself. So thank you for watching. Please watch again and pause where you may have had any difficulties. Good luck in your future math problems.